Hi, everybody. NotebookLM. I finally tried that tool from Google. It is as impressive as everybody says. So we're going to listen in a moment here to the audio podcast. The sound quality is good, and I'm impressed with the ease that the two speakers banter about. It sounds like a real podcast. So in my course, I've had students read 6 papers this week. I uploaded all 6 of those papers and asked NotebookLM to create a 15-minute podcast. And it gives an overview about the papers. I also asked the NotebookLM to take the direction that the podcast should be for the audience of undergraduate students who are looking at large language models from the perspective of a product manager. And listen to this and see what you think. My students did presentations on each of the papers. They went more in depth because each group was on one single paper. So listen up and let me know in the comments what you think.
Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive?
Always ready to dive in.
Cool. Today we're looking at large language models, LLM.
LLMs, yeah.
But we're going to be looking at them kind of from a product manager's point of view.
It's a good angle.
Yeah, right? So we've got some really interesting sources, actually. We've got some academic papers
Okay.
about data bias and ethics,
Yeah.
all that.
Very important.
Yeah. And then some super technical stuff on GPT-4,
Oh, wow.
like how they actually trained it.
Fascinating.
Yeah. And we're also going to look at this thing called the pile.
The pile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's this massive data set.
Yeah.
Huge.
Okay. I'm intrigued.
Yeah, they used it to train a lot of these LLMs.
Mm. Huh.
Oh, and one more thing. We've got this paper that digs into the environmental impact of all this AI stuff.
Yeah, that's a big concern these days.
Right. So basically, we're trying to equip you guys, future product managers
Yep.
with the knowledge you need to make some smart decisions about data for your AI products.
Absolutely. And I think for anyone thinking about building the next big AI app, understanding data, that's non-negotiable.
Yeah, for
It
sure.
really is the foundation.
It's like the core ingredient.
Yeah, good analogy.
Like you can't make a good dish without the right ingredients.
Exactly.
And that's basically what the pile paper is all about, right?
Okay, so tell me about the pile. What's in it?
Oh, man, it's everything but the kitchen sink.
Yeah.
It's like books, code, websites, old emails,
What? Emails?
emails. I know, right? Crazy.
Wow. That's a lot of different stuff.
It really is.
Mhm.
And there's a reason for all that variety.
What is it?
Well, the more diverse the data is, the more versatile the LLM becomes.
That makes sense. So it's kind of like if you want to teach someone a new language,
Yeah.
exposing them to different writing styles, different topics,
Yeah.
different formats, it's it makes them a more well-rounded speaker.
Exactly. And speaking of that GPT-4 report,
Yeah.
it really emphasizes how the data you use to train these things.
Yeah.
It directly impacts what the LLM can actually do.
Okay, give me an example.
Okay, so they included a ton of exam questions in the training data for GPT-4.
Yeah.
And guess what? GPT-4 aced a bunch of exams, like the bar exam, SATs.
Wow. So targeted data leads to very specific capabilities.
Right, and that's huge for product managers.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, think about it. If you're building a chatbot, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you want it to be amazing at customer service.
Okay, yeah.
You wouldn't train it on random stuff. You'd need data from real customer interactions.
Right, so it's not just about having a lot of data. It's about the right kind of data.
100%.
Quality over quantity, then.
Absolutely. And this brings up a really interesting point, actually.
What's that?
So the pile, right? They emphasize having a huge variety of data.
Right.
But then you look at the OpenAI report.
Yeah.
And they're talking about how they were really specific about the data they used for GPT-4.
They filtered out a ton of stuff from this massive data set called Common Crawl.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that word.
Just to get the highest quality English text.
Oh, interesting. So it's a balancing act then.
Yeah, I think so.
You want diversity, sure, but you got to make sure the data's good too.
Exactly. You don't want your LLM learning from messy or irrelevant stuff.
Right. It'd be I don't know, giving a student a textbook full of errors and expecting them to pass the test.
Yeah, perfect analogy.
So, okay, data's super important, clearly.
Yeah.
But how does this translate to actual decisions that product manager has to make?
Okay, so imagine you're building a medical chatbot, right? You're not just going to train it on Wikipedia articles, are you?
Probably not the best idea.
No. You'd need like data from medical journals, clinical trials.
Right. Real medical stuff.
Exactly. Stuff that's accurate and reflects how complicated medicine is.
So as a product manager,
Yeah.
you'd be the one figuring out what data you need, finding the right sources.
Making sure it's all clean and accurate.
Right. And that it like actually matches what you're trying to build.
So it's not just about building a cool AI app.
Nope.
It's about making sure it's built on a good foundation.
Solid data foundation.
Exactly. Now, shifting gears a little bit.
Oh, okay.
There's this other paper we have, Stochastic Parrots.
Yeah, I've heard of that one.
And it asks this like really thought-provoking question
Okay. What is it?
about the environmental cost of training these big AI models.
Uh-huh.
Because, it takes a lot of energy.
Yeah, it does. A lot of computing power.
Like, the paper mentions that training one LLM can use as much energy as a trans-American flight.
Wow. That's a lot.
Right. A lot of carbon emissions for one algorithm.
Yeah. That's something to think about.
For sure. And it brings up some ethical considerations.
Definitely. Like, as product managers, we can't just think about if something works, right?
Right.
We got to think about the sustainability of it, too.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, are there ways to train these models, more efficiently? Can we use smaller models?
Maybe for certain tasks.
Yeah, exactly. These are questions we need to be asking.
Like, it's almost like we have this responsibility, right?
Yeah.
To balance innovation with the impact on the environment.
100%. We've got to be mindful of the resources we're using.
For sure. And strive to create, AI solutions that are both powerful and sustainable.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
So we've talked about the data itself, the quality,
Yep.
the diversity, even the environmental impact. But there's this other layer to this whole thing.
Right. Well,
There's more. Yeah. What about being transparent about the data?
Right.
And all the ethical stuff?
Very important.
Like, how do we even know if the data being used is, ethical?
Well, that's where this idea of data statements comes in.
Data statements?
Yeah.
Okay, what are those?
We'll dive into that right after this. Okay. So data statements. Where were we?
You were about to tell me what they are.
Oh, right. Data statements. They're like,
Like what?
it's like a nutrition label, but for data.
A nutrition label for data.
Yeah. It tells you all the important stuff about where the data came from, how it was collected, any like quirks it might have.
Quirks? Like what?
Well, like, is there anything weird about it? Limitations.
Gotcha. So it's all about transparency.
Exactly. Like, when you buy food,
Yeah.
you want to know what's in it, right?
Yeah, of course.
Like, are there allergens, weird ingredients? Data statements are kind of like that. But for LLMs, it helps you understand, like, what's in the data.
Okay, that makes sense. So this is important for, like, anyone using LLMs.
Especially for you future product managers out there.
Right.
Because you'll be the ones deciding, like, which models to use, right?
Yeah.
How to put them into your products.
So what kind of stuff would actually be in a data statement?
Well, they recommend a few things.
Okay, like what?
So, like, they talk about the demographics of the people who, made the data.
Demographic.
Yeah, like how old are they? Where are they from? Stuff like that.
Okay. And why is that important?
Imagine you're building a chatbot, right?
Yeah.
For a global audience. You wouldn't want the data to just be from, like...
Yeah, a small group of people.
Exactly. You want it to reflect all your users,
Yeah, that makes sense. So a data statement would, like, tell you that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it'd tell you, like, the age range, gender, location, even language background.
Okay, so it's about avoiding bias.
Exactly. If the data's too narrow, you might end up with a biased LLM.
Right. Okay. What else is in these data statements?
Oh, they also talk about the curation rationale.
Curation rationale. Sounds fancy.
It's basically like why they chose the data they did.
So they have to, like, justify their choices.
Yeah, kind of. Like, we chose this data set because it's full of conversational language, perfect for our chatbot.
Okay, so it's like explaining the recipe.
Exactly. Helps you understand why they picked certain data.
Right.
And whether it makes sense for, what they're trying to do.
Makes sense. Anything else?
Oh, yeah, one more thing. Characteristics of the text itself.
Characteristics.
Yeah, like, is it formal? Informal? What's the average sentence length? Stuff like that.
Interesting. And why is that useful?
Well, it helps you predict how the LLM might perform, right?
Okay.
Like, if it's trained on mostly academic papers, It might not be great at like casual chit chat.
Right.
Right.
So it's kind of like getting a peek into the LLM's personality.
You could say that. And get this. They have long form and short form data statements.
Wait, what? 2 versions.
Yeah. The long one's like a full report for researchers and stuff.
Okay.
But there's a short one too, like a summary for product managers, even end users maybe.
Okay, so we've got these data statements. They tell us all about the data, help us avoid bias.
Yeah.
But how would a product manager actually use them? Like, in real life?
Okay, let's say you're building a language learning app
Okay, cool.
and you need to pick an LLM.
Yeah.
You've got 2 options. One was trained on like textbooks and formal stuff. The other was trained on like real conversations.
Okay, interesting.
You look at the data statements, right? And you can see which one's more likely to, like,
Yeah.
Sound natural.
So it helps you make a better decision.
Exactly. You pick the right tool for the job.
This is really interesting stuff. It's like data statements are bringing accountability to AI.
Right. They're making it more transparent.
And like, as future product managers,
Yeah.
we'll be the ones using these things,
Yeah.
pushing for them.
Absolutely. You're not just using AI. You're shaping it.
That's a powerful thought. Now, earlier we talked about how big these data sets are, like the pile.
Yeah.
Does that make it harder to create data statements?
That's a great question. It's definitely a big task, analyzing all that data.
Yeah.
But the paper mentions some ideas, like using automated tools.
To like pull out the key info.
Yeah, exactly. And focusing on like the most important parts.
Okay, so you don't have to document every single thing.
Right. It's like, summarizing a book.
Yeah, you just hit the main points.
Exactly. And people are working on making this easier, like developing tools, guidelines.
So it's a work in progress.
Yeah, but the goal is still transparency.
Gotcha. Now, zooming out a bit, how do data statements fit into the whole, like, responsible AI thing?
Oh, great question. It's definitely about transparency, right? But it can also help us make AI more ethical, more inclusive.
How so?
Well, by showing us potential biases in the data,
Yeah.
we can try to like fix those biases in the LLMs.
So it's not just understanding the data, it's using it to build better AI.
Exactly. And it's not just about being technically fair either.
Okay, what else?
It's about making AI more inclusive too. Like if we document all the languages in a data set,
Right.
we can see if any are missing, and then we can like prioritize building LLMs for those communities.
That's a really good point. It's about making AI accessible to everyone, not just, people who speak certain languages.
100%.
This is really eye-opening stuff. Data statements
Okay.
aren't just like technical. They're about values.
Absolutely. It's about building AI that reflects like what we believe in.
Now, here's something I've been wondering.
Yeah.
What if someone like misuses data statements?
Oh, how do you mean?
Like, what if they make their data seem better than it really is?
Yeah, I see your point. That's definitely a risk.
Right.
Like any tool can be misused,
Yeah.
So we need like clear standards,
Mm-hmm.
maybe even independent audits to make sure people are being honest.
So it's about building trust, basically.
Exactly. Trust in the data and the AI that uses it.
Makes sense.
Gah.
Okay, last question. What about the future of these data statements?
That's a good one. I think they could become like standard.
You mean like everyone will use them?
Yeah, like imagine every LLM comes with a data statement. So you can always see what's in it, make informed decisions.
That'd be amazing. A world where AI is just transparent.
Exactly. And that transparency can lead to like more trust, more innovation,
Yeah,
a better AI ecosystem for everyone.
I like the sound of that. This has been a really enlightening conversation. I feel like I've learned so much.
Me too. It's amazing how much there is to think about with this stuff.
Right. And for all you aspiring product managers out there, I think the main takeaway is that data is everything.
It really is. The data you choose will determine what your AI can do, what it can't do, even like its biases.
It's a huge responsibility.
It is. You're not just building a product, you're shaping a mind.
And with that power comes a lot of responsibility to be careful, to be ethical,
Yeah.
to be transparent.
And that's where data statements come in. They can guide you, help you build AI the right way.
So as you start your careers, remember, you're not just building apps. You're shaping the future of AI.
It's exciting and a little scary, right?
Yeah, but mostly exciting.
Totally. So keep learning, keep pushing the boundaries, and always remember to use your power responsibly.
Awesome. I think that's a great place to end this deep dive. Thanks for joining us, everyone. And until next time, happy building. Okay, so we covered a ton of ground. Data statements, the good, the bad, the ugly.
Yeah, we really went deep, but I think it was worth it.
Definitely. Now, for all of you future product managers out there, what's the big takeaway? What do you really need to remember from all this?
I think the biggest thing is the data is everything.
That's
Seriously.
at the heart of the whole thing.
Exactly. The data you pick to train your LLMs, it's going to determine everything.
Like what?
What it can do, what it can't do, even its biases, It's a big deal, a lot of responsibility.
Yeah, no pressure or anything, right?
Right, but seriously, it's you're not just building some product.
Yeah.
It's more than that. You're shaping a mind, almost.
Oh, okay, I like that.
Yeah, right. And with that power, you got to be careful, ethical,
Yeah.
transparent.
And that's where, those data statements come in.
Exactly. They're your guide
Yeah.
to building AI the right way.
So, to sum it all up,
Yeah.
for you aspiring product managers, you're not just building apps, you're shaping the future of AI. No big deal.
Exactly. Pretty exciting, huh?
Super exciting. And a little scary, maybe?
Maybe a little, but mostly exciting. Just remember to learn everything you can. Push the boundaries.
And use your powers for good.
Always for good.
Awesome. Well, that about wraps up our deep dive into LLMs and data.
Thanks for having me. It was fun.
Yeah, this was great. And for everyone listening,
Yeah.
keep exploring, keep learning. The future of AI is out there. And until next time.